Hey, what's happening, guys? Dan Dario here with another Options in Play video update. So I did the first half of this week's earnings on Friday, and now will be the second half of this coming week's earnings releases. It's a huge week. There was just so many names on the calendar. I figured it'd be good to split it up. So this video we'll cover the names reporting from Wednesday after the close through Friday morning, and you'll see after you get through the video that basically we have like 3 weeks worth of earnings all condensed into 1 week. So just a huge week, and basically every day is going to be like super busy. So again, this is Wednesday after the close. Okay, so Ford pricing in about $1.20, give or take. GM's going to set the tone for this with earnings earlier in the day, but people, or at least me, are I'm much more focused on Ford because of that F-150 Lightning launch, which is supposed to be imminent. So in that regard, I'm more interested in like a swing idea on this, assuming like the numbers are good and the stock can start resetting some levels because it's acting acting a little bit weak right now. But if it can get above that 200A, reset some upper levels. This could be something that really starts to interest me for a swing trade again. Facebook pricing in about 23 and a half points. So I find this to be a tough setup, and let me tell you why. Sentiment seems so bad, right? Expectations seem low, right? But kind of said the same thing with Netflix, and look how that played out, right? Stock has dropped straight down into earnings, and that makes me think that it's a better setup for the Biden news reaction. But you guys know me; I don't like when stuff is straight up or straight down into earnings, and it's just not something I have a ton of conviction with, especially with options pricing in 23 plus points. Um, there is room in both directions, and it wouldn't surprise me if it was a bigger mover, but at 23 points, it's something that I feel like I need to have conviction with, and I just don't have it. So it might be something of like a post-earnings focus trade for me. ServiceNow, big software report, about 44 points is what they're looking for. It's sitting right underneath the 2022 support level, and it's really gonna need a good print. Otherwise, this could have a pretty sizable breakdown. So when I scroll out, you can see what I mean. Last quarter was solid. They have a good history of delivering, but it's a quarter where growth stock, a little bit higher valuation. You have to deliver in this environment. So I'm not sure I'm going to be involved here, but it could have an impact on a lot of other enterprise software stocks. So I might look at some of those. PayPal, so about 10.25 is what's priced in. Coming off several lousy quarters in a row, stock is at its low. It's another stock where you want to say like bad news is maybe priced in, but I just don't have conviction saying that. I feel like Netflix kind of changed my opinion on a lot of these. Um, could impact Square, right? So maybe I'll look at Square options as a sympathy play. Pinterest, about 275 is what they're pricing in here. Snap didn't move the needle much for pins. It's in a steady slide lower. It's not a pretty chart, but it does appear to have room in either direction. Option prices, they're not cheap, but if I can get risk down, this might be something I look at. But I guess it'll depend on how the week up until that point goes. Qualcomm, so about 10 and a half points is what they're pricing in here. Semis just cannot sustain a bid. After a couple strong quarters, I thought maybe Qualcomm would act better ahead of earnings, but just can't get anything going. It's been volatile lately around its reports. I feel like the risk reward is skewed to the upside here, but sentiment on semis is going to need to improve for this to be up a lot. But might be something to look at for a speculative play. And then Teladoc, so about $8 is what they're looking for in this one. They're going to need to deliver. StockX week, just off its worst level of the year. The thing with Teladoc is that it has given opportunities to trade it on earnings day without taking the options into the print. So I might look for that again. Plus, it's had some good intraday action on those earnings days. So that might be what I look at this time around. All right, before the open on Thursday, Caterpillar. So about 11 and a half points is what they're pricing in. It could be interesting. It had a big recent breakout. So when I scroll out, you see what I mean. So it had a big recent breakout and then just reversed straight back down. It was bid up with commodities. Those are starting to lose some steam. I mean, they did have a decent report in January, but it dropped actually on that one. I feel like the options leave some room in both directions, so it might be like a late in the week volatility strategy idea for me. Twitter, I think they just announced that they're postponing after made it official that Musk is going to buy it out, so it kind of removes some of like the potential fireworks for that day. But you know, Twitter, it'll be sad to see it go as a publicly traded stock, but I feel like in Musk's hands, who knows what's coming down the pipeline, right? And then also Thursday before the open, you have Lilly, Merck. Let me get rid of this and Sanofi. So SNY is another one. So you have a few pharma reports. These stocks, they all seem kind of more like swing focus ideas to me if they can stabilize. So probably not earnings plays. All right, after the close on Thursday, another huge night for tech. Amazon pricing in like 197, 200 points, somewhere around there. Amazon seems like the wild card of the week within these mega caps. It's just, I mean, last quarter was very, very mixed, and because they had a big gain from the Rivian stake, that's not going to happen this quarter. So the question is, how good are the results? They do have a stock split coming up, but that won't matter as much if the numbers aren't good. It's in its long range. It just seems like a true toss-up pattern to me. I mean, I could see it moving a lot either direction, but it does also have some history of where kind of like a muted response. So I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get risk down on Amazon, but if it is possible, I might play something for a speculative like strangle, something just in case it does move like 300-400 points. But I mean, this is really like to me, it seems like the big wild card of the week. Apple, about $9 is what they're looking for. It has been the best of the mega caps outside of Tesla, but Russia probably gonna have an impact on their earnings. Shanghai shutdown might have an impact. Strong U.S. dollar might have an impact, right? So it's kind of hard to say what's priced in. They did deliver pretty well last quarter with a bunch of headwinds, so I guess I should give them the benefit of the doubt. Um, but I mean, companies that slip up are still getting punished. So I guess my biggest concern would be, if it is a disappointing quarter and it breaks the 200 day, what's the downside, right? Because I mean, the 200 day has been pretty significant going back a ways, you can see. So I mean, if it loses that, does it start to play some catch up on the downside? And so that's the bigger question for me with Apple. Team. So another software report, about 20 and a half points is what's priced in. They recently had an investor day and they talked some numbers, so I'm not sure how much of a move to expect here. They are impacted by the war in Ukraine though, so I might be a little bit more cautious on in the near term. Intel, big semi report, about $3.50 is what's priced in. It's been smashed on earnings 7 quarters in a row, so that's what history says. You can say it's due for a pop, but the numbers are really going to need to be good to change that pattern. Option pricing is not too bad compared to what it's moved on average the past few quarters, so might not leave a ton of room, but maybe a little bit. Robinhood. So this one's kind of an interesting setup. About $1.50 is what they're pricing in. It's had a couple of really weak guides in a row. Last quarter had a big red to green move off a similar level down here. If it breaks 10, could have room lower. If they surprise, maybe squeezes higher. So maybe like a volatility strategy is something I might look at on it. And then Roku, also Thursday after the close. Oops. Let's see. There we go. All right. So Roku. So about 17 points is what's priced in. Um, After Netflix drop, seems like people aren't expecting great numbers here. Not to mention, last quarter was not that good. The chart definitely looks susceptible under 100, but I mean, it could snap back pretty quick if it's not as bad as feared. It's definitely not my favorite stock to trade, but depending on how the week is playing out, maybe something I'll look at. It really depends on how like the next few days go. All right, then wrapping things up, Friday before the open, you have AbbVie and Bristol Myers. So more pharma reports. AbbVie, it's expected to have phase 2 cystic fibrosis data by the end of April. So I mean, that's what I'm going to be looking for. If they do have that data, I mean, it could be a mover. If not, maybe more muted. Also, you have two big two big energy names. So Chevron, which is pricing in 7, and then Exxon, which is pricing in 3.5. So um, I mean, I'd say Exxon's chart looks a little bit better than Chevron, but I mean, they're both losing steam pretty fast. Momentum's dried up quickly on energy, so these reports are probably gonna be pretty important just to like stabilize that sector. I'm not sure I'm gonna have any options, but maybe like the day of, after the reports come out, maybe on that Friday session, I'll look for maybe some like quick trade opportunities. But I'm not sure I'm gonna have options going into the earnings releases. So that's it. So I mean, you can see why I broke up the videos. I mean, just a huge week of earnings, big names every single day, multiple big names every single day, huge priced in moves. So it's going to be a wild one. So buckle up. All right. So if you like this video and you're looking for more information on trading events with options, please follow up with the link in the description of the video for more information on options to play. Have a great night. Best of luck if you are playing any of these earnings, and I will talk